Yes, so welcome back. I think we can start now. So those were just some of the important tips I think we should all remember when we are doing research. Okay, I think I'm sure when you are doing when you're in your second year and you're doing the research, you will all remember these important points, and I'm sure I'll guarantee that this will be helpful to you. All right, now let me share my screen. I think I've stopped sharing. One second. Can you see this PPT? Yeah. So now we move on to the data analysis part. So we covered till validity and reliability, and then I highlighted some points. So now we are going to go and look into percentage analysis using PSPP. So as I told you, we are going to go from very basic to high end statistics. I am going to go very slowly so that all of you follow. In case you have PSPP with you in your system, you have some data, you can also try that. Okay, at the end of the session, we can have some interaction wherein you can do some data analysis if you have it in your system, or maybe you can tell me, direct me, and I will do it for you through the through Google Meet. Anyway, so now we are going to look at percentage analysis. Let me just open the data file. All right.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, is there any ways to import data from Excel, sir? I have my data in Excel sheet.
Yes, actually there is something, see once when you save the Excel file, there is something called CSV format. Okay, just check when you are saving it. Now, now you have the Excel file, go to file and there will be an option called save as. Okay, save as, and at the bottom there will be an option called CSV, comma separated values, I think it is called CSV, and once you save it in that format, you can open it in PSPP. You go to PSPP and then click open file, open, and then you can open that particular file. Yeah. Yeah, you can try that. Or the other option is, what I would suggest is, that is directly, in case there is some issue you are not able to import, you can do, you can copy paste row by row. So you have age means copy the whole row and paste it here. Sex means paste it here like this. You have to paste it manually. Okay. Yeah, these are the two options. Or if you have collected through paper form, then very easy, you can just enter, and that is the easiest way. Anyway, so where was I? Yeah, I was talking about the percentage analysis. Let me just maximize this. Is it visible? Can you see this file? Ah. Okay. So now this is the variable view. You can see the different variables here. So one, we have age, then we have sex, then we have religion, then we have caste, we have education, we have marital status. Okay. So what is the percentage analysis? It's very simple. It tells you how many percentage of respondents belong to a particular category. So we are going to look into nominal variables only. Remember, I told you three types of variables. No, what are they in SPSS and PSPP? Nominal, which is in category; ordinal, which is in order, like 1 to 5 I told you, happy, how happy you are, or 1 not at all, 2 somewhat, like that. Scale, continuous. Okay, this is a completely continuous variable. For example, age is there. If you look at age, everything is in continuous. See here, 27, 22, this is the age continuous. Similarly, education also in continuous form only, in years of education this is. Also income is in continuous, you can see the number. But there are certain categorical variables like sex or gender. I have given 1 to 1 to because, as I told you, computer does not understand words. So we have to tell it in numbers. So when you are adding the numbers, let us say you are entering, your first respondent is male or first respondent is female. Now it is up to you how you code that person. Now I have given 1 as male, 2 as female. So here the first respondent is female, I enter as 2. Then I go to the variable view. Once I finished entering, I have decided 2 is female, 1 is male. I enter the data, this whole data. Once I am done with the entering of all the respondents data, I go to this value labels. You see this option called value labels. Here I click on these 3 dots over here, and you will get this pop-up box. Here you have to enter. I will just remove this. I will show you what happens when you do not have this. I click on OK. So now there is no value labels, you can see. Let me go and do the percentage analysis and see what happens, just for your understanding. Why we are adding the value labels, you will understand. You go to analyze, this is how you do percentage analysis. Okay? You go to analyze, we go to descriptive statistics, I repeat again, analyze, descriptive statistics, frequencies. Now, click frequencies. Here we have this x, which is the nominal variables. I will put it in the variable column. I do not want mean, minimum, maximum. You can't find a mean of gender, no. Mean is what average. You cannot do, because these are people, not numbers. So, this is a gender. So, you put sex inside here and then click OK. Now, let me go to the output file. Output file is sometimes minimized. Okay, so you have to search. Here it is there. Now, see, can you see this 1, 2, values 1, 2, but we do not know what is 1, what is 2. Computer does not know what is 1, what is 2. We are not told the computer what is 1, what is 2. It is telling me frequency 28. What is frequency? Number of people, and percentage, the percentage of the total respondents, 56. So, the first group is 28 number of people are there in that group, their percentage is 56% of them. Second group, 22 people are there and they constitute 44% of the total respondent, but we do not know what is 1, what is 2. The computer is not able to tell us. For that, what we need to do is, that is why we have added the value labels. You see this value label, no? You click on this, sorry, I think I clicked some other, one second. Yeah. So, you click on this, click on the value labels. I think there is some issue with my system, let me just maximize. Sorry. So, this is the value labels. Here what we do, 1 is male, is not it? Now, it is up to you what you code. If you have coded 1 as female, you can add 1 as female, not an issue. It is up to you how you code it. I have coded a 1 as male, I click on add. Then I say 2 is female and then I click add. Okay, so, what I am doing is I am telling the computer, listen, 1 is male, 2 is female. Now, the computer understands. I click OK. Now, I go to analyze, go to descriptive statistics, frequencies. I just click reset if already something is there inside. I do not want mean, minimum and all. I only want this sex and percentage analysis. I put it in the variable, I click OK. I just minimize this, one second. I go to the output file. Now, can you see at this bottom, I will just move up. Can you see here, one male is here, female is here. Earlier it was not there, see. So, now I know what is 1, what is 2. Now, I can say 56% of the total respondents are male, or majority of the total respondents are male and the remaining are female. Okay. So, now you understood why we add value labels. We add value labels to tell the computer what each of the different groups basically mean. Okay. And for some categorical variables or nominal variables, for all nominal variables we have to enter as number and then we have to tell the computer. We have to inform the computer saying 1 is male, 2 is female. Now, the same thing goes for religion also. I think I opened it accidentally, I will show you. Religion also, 1 is Hindu, 2 is Christian, Muslim. Now, again it is up to you how you name it. You do not have to name 1 as Hindu, you can put 1 as Christian also, does not matter. It is just an order. And same with the caste also. I put 1 as SC, ST, 2 as OBC, 3 is general. You are telling the computer. So, let me go and do another percentage analysis for religion. Let us do religion. Analyze. You can note down the steps. See what I am showing here, you can note it down and later on you can try with your own data if you have. So, we go to analyze, descriptive statistics, frequencies. Now, already sex is inside there, last time we did know. So, we have to reset. Click on reset, or other option is click on this and pull it back out, this arrow. Then select the next one, which is religion. I want religion. So, click, put it inside the box, click OK. Again minimize, you will see the output file here. I will just maximize this, so you can see it clearly. You can see at the bottom it is there, Hindu 54%, Christians 30%, Muslim or followers of Islam 16%. So, majority of the respondents belong to the religion called Hindu or Hinduism, and then second followed by Christians and the smallest number of respondents belong to the Muslim faith. So, this is how you do a percentage analysis. Any doubt so far? You are able to follow that? Anything you didn't? Okay. Okay. Now, I will show you a table where I have interpreted this. See, this data analysis today, I am not just going to show you how to do the data, I am going to show you how to interpret. This is very, very simple interpretation. This is how, so this table you get now in this output, I will show you this output again. You cannot copy this, it is problematic. So, what you need to do is you can take a screenshot, or you can, there should be some way of saving, but it is better you take a screenshot of it, because this is not in proper format. You can see it, the tables are very small, not good. So, you just, and we do not need this cumulative percentage and all, we only, or valid percentage, we only want label, the male gender, we want a frequency and percentage, that is all we want. Computer will give you so many unnecessary information, we do not want, we only want. So, what we do, take a screenshot of this, or save it somewhere, then you open your Word file, your thesis, whatever it is, then insert table from here. On top you see this option, insert table, and you can insert it like this, and then you enter it like this. Okay, I have already done it, so I am not doing again. So, here you see sex male, frequency 28%, sorry, frequency 28, percentage 56%, female frequency 22, percentage is 44, total 50 respondents. Our whole sample is only 50, and percentage is 100, of course. So, how I have interpreted, your different ways of writing, you do not have to follow only my method, but I like to keep it very simple and easy to understand. So, based on the results seen in table, yes.
What are an effective interpretation methods, like pie chart or like?
Yes, that also they do. That also, what I do, what I tell my students is, I tell them to do a percent table as well as a chart. I will show you one of, if I have time, maybe I will show you a part of my students' thesis. They will do a table, and then at the bottom they will also do pie chart, both, because I want them to learn both, how to do a table, how to do a chart, and how to interpret it. So,
For pie chart, we can put it in an Excel sheet and then.
Word also is there. Word also, see, I will show you. Insert, here you have chart, and here you have so many options are there. Pie chart is there, see. And currently there is some issue with my Excel, but you can insert in that. I tell all my students to do that. So, that is it. So, yeah. So, once you are done, so please remember, do not copy paste the table from the PSPP, because if you copy paste it from PSPP, what will happen is, you cannot copy paste, first of all, there is problem. Even if you copy paste, all jumbled up, it will not look good. So, better you create a table, understand the find out the numbers, keep the numbers in mind, or take a screenshot like I told you, and then create your own table and do it neatly. No, neatness very, very important in research, it has to be clean, easy to understand. So, here what is the title I have given, you can give a percentage distribution of respondents based on sex, and then frequency and percentage. How I have interpreted is, based on the results seen in table 1, this is table 1, it can be said that majority of the respondents are male, 56, while the remaining are female, 44% in bracket. So, after majority I put a bracket here, and here also after remaining I put a bracket. So, this is the one way of interpreting. Another way, some people will say a little more than half of the total respondents, because 50% is half. They will say a little more than half of the respondents are this one. If it is 33%, they will say 1/3 of the total respondents. If it is 66%, they say 2/3 of the respondents. So, there are different ways in which you interpret the data, but this is a very simple way, easy to understand. Okay. Then, like ma'am was telling, you can also insert a pie chart or a bar chart. I would suggest a pie chart, very nice, easy way to understand. Is that clear? Yeah. Any doubts? Okay. Now, can anybody, now I have done it, now this is a workshop, I want you to also participate. Now, can you tell me how, I will show you a variable, tell me how to do the percentage analysis. I want to do percentage analysis for caste. Tell me the steps and I will do it. Anybody? Let us see if you remember.
First, we need to click analyze.
Okay, analyze.
And descriptive statistics.
Descriptive statistics.
Frequencies.
Frequencies.
We need to
Before that I have to do something else. What is that?
We need to remove that old variable.
Select it and then reset or remove like this. Okay. Then
We need to select the cast variable and we need to insert it in it.
yes. Then okay.
Click OK.
Okay, that's all. Now we have to minimize this and we will see the output file. Here we can see at the bottom it will be there. So, here you can see, I will just maximize it. So, you can see majority of I mean almost half of exactly half of the total respondents are belonging to the general category. This is followed by those who belong to the OBC category, while the remaining belong to the SC/ST category, that is about 20%. Okay. So, this is how you do a percentage analysis. Okay. I hope you followed it. Now the question is, what about, so we have done percentage analysis for what? Categorical variable, that is nominal variable. This is nominal, no, name like a male, female, religion. What about continuous variable, sir, you will ask. For example, age is there, no. How are we going to find out the percentage distribution? Let us go and do it and see what happens. Okay. I will just do a small experiment. You will see what will happen if you try to do percentage analysis for continuous variable or scale variable. Go to analyze, descriptive statistics, frequencies. I remove this cast and I will put age inside it. This is the continuous variable, it is a scale ratio, sorry, a scale variable. I put it inside, I click on OK. Now see what will happen. I will now show you the output. See what has happened. What has happened is all the 50 people's age has come and see the, can you interpret this? No, it is a headache. Looking at it itself is very difficult. So, what we need to do is we need to convert this continuous variable into categorical, into nominal. The scale variable has to be converted into nominal or categorical variable. But before converting it into categorical variable, we need to understand certain values. Okay, we need to know the mean, that is the average age of the respondents. We also need to know the minimum and the maximum value, right. What is the minimum and what is the maximum value. So, for that how we need to do? We need to go back to the data file. Here you go to analyze, here you select again descriptive statistics, here you select frequencies. Age is already inside that, so I am not worried about it. I have to select these three things: mean, under statistics there is a thing called mean, that is average, minimum and maximum. Mean, minimum and maximum, I have to select these three. Why are we selecting it? I will show you. Click on OK. Now, we go back to the output file quickly. We will see that the same table has come, but at the bottom there is one new table. Mean is 32.46. What do you mean by this? Can anybody tell me what do you mean by 32.46? What is happening here? That is the average age of the respondent. So, typical respondent is 32.46 years old. Minimum is 24. So, the youngest respondent is 24 years old. The oldest respondent is 53 years old. Maximum you can see. Okay. So, that is what we need to know. So, now why do we know to know this average is that based on this only we are going to categorize the respondents. So, let me go and categorize it quickly. We know the mean, just remember 32.46 is the mean. Let me minimize. So, what are we going to do now? We want to get it into category, no? This is in continuous form, we want to interpret the data. So, what we need to do is we need to categorize it. How we are going to do is there is this option called transform. Okay? Transform. In transform there is this option called recode into different variables. Recode into different variables. Do not click on recode into same variables, that variable will become deleted. You have to select transform, recode into different variables. You select that. Now, which is the variable we want to recode? Age. You pull age inside this, and then once you pull it inside, there is this option called old and new values. Old and new values. You click on that. You will have another big table here. Here what we need to do is we need to put the range. What is the range? 0 to What is the number we got? What is the mean we got there? Does anybody remember?
32.46.
32.46. We will keep it as 32. 0 to 32 value is 1. We are telling the computer, what are we telling the computer? Anybody who is aged 0 to 32, call them, put them in category 1. They are category 1. Add. Okay. Now again delete this. We have to add 33 and let us take 40. We can give any number, not an issue. 33 to 40. We say 2. So what am I telling the computer? Anybody who is aged between 33 to 40, please categorize them into 2. Now the last one, range value through highest. Here we say 3. Here we say 41, because 0 to 32 is over, 33 to 40 is over. Now 41 and above. That is what this option means. Range value through highest. 41 and above, they will be 3. And I click add. So here you can see computer is telling, I have told the computer, anybody who is 41 years and above, put them in the third category. Even if they are 100 years old, they will be in third category only. Okay. So once we are done with that, we click on continue. You select this variable again, and here in the name column, we have to give a short form. This is age group. Age we already have. We want age group. So we say AGEGR, short form. In label, we can give the space and capital everything. Age group. Then we click on change. Once we click on change, we click OK. So now if you go to the output file, it will give you one sign. It will say execute. Can you see at the bottom? It is saying execute. That means the variable has been created. How do you check if the variable has been created? Go to the variable view. At the very bottom, you will see this variable called, wait, I think it has not come up. It has come up. Age group is here. You can see, usually it is at the bottom. I think there is some issue here. Anyway, the age group has come. Is this the one? Yes, I think this is the one. So we created 24 to 30. Is this the one? I think so. No. I think there is an error. We found the, what is the mean we found? Mean was different, I think. We have done some error here. No, that is why we have to give, actually we have to give 24, because there is a minimum value also. That is why it did not come. Wait 1 second, I will just remove this. 1 second. I should have, I think I wanted to ask you minimum, I asked mean, I think. 0 to 24 is 1. Okay. Then what is the next one? 25 to 30, we can give any number. 25 to 40, we will keep 25 to 40, that is 2. And then the last variable we keep 41 and the same one. 41 to 41 and above will be 3. Then we click add and then we click continue. Here we have age group, we change it as AGRR, okay, just for understanding age group. Short form I have given something, and I put a bar here and click on change, then we click OK. Now at the bottom, can you see the new variable that has come? So what we did is we forgot to give the minimum value, we have to give the minimum value first. So age group is newly created here, you can see. I will double click this and you can see the variable here. Can you see this variable? 2, most 1, there are some 1 also here, some 3 also. So what are we done is, we have told the computer, as I told you, anyone who is aged between 0 to 24, they should be in group 1, 25 to 40 is group 2, 41 and above is group 3. Now if you do a percentage analysis, I will show you what will happen. If you do a simple percentage analysis of this, you will get some other value. Wait, I will show you. You remove this. I will ask you what mistake we did, you have to tell me. Okay. So age group I put it inside. Output I will show you. So this is the output. Now tell me what is the mistake we have made here. You got the data. Can anybody tell me what is the mistake we have made here so that we can rectify it? Can we interpret this? What is the problem in the interpretation here? Can you tell me what mistake, what is missing here?
We didn't create value labels, sir.
Ah, very good.
Means
Yes, correct, exactly. So, we didn't tell the computer which group means what. How will the computer know? So, we have to go back to the data view, and at the bottom we need to go down, and here the value labels we have to tell. One second. One is, what is 1? Can anybody tell me? 0 to what year we put?
24.
24 years, correct. 2, 25 to
25 to 40.
40 years. Add 3,
40 above.
41 years and above. Add, click OK. Now we have told the computer, I will show you again. I am telling the computer 0 to 21 years, 24 years is 1, put them in the first category. 25 to 40 years is 2, 41 and above is 3. Click OK. Now go to analyze. Again we will do the percentage analysis and see what result we get. Descriptive statistics, frequencies, age group is already inside, so we are not worried. Click on OK. You will just go to the output file and you will see now. Now it will be clear. Can you see this? 0 to 24 years, there is only one respondent. 25 to 40 years, almost majority, single largest majority of the, majority of the respondents, 86% of the respondents are in 25 to 40 years. 41 years and above, only 12%. Okay? Did you get the idea of transformation?
Yes, sir.
Any doubts? So, this is how you convert or transform continuous variable into categorical. Remember earlier how it was like this, we cannot interpret this. So, we are converted into category 0 to 24 this, 25 to 40 this, but it is always good to collect in continuous form, because for high end statistics we need this data. Okay. So, always collect in continuous, later on you can convert it to categorical or nominal like this, but if you already have collected the data as 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 as category, you cannot get this data. Okay, you cannot convert it back into continuous. So, therefore, always remember collect the data in continuous form, later you can categorize it like just how we did it right now. Okay. Any doubts?
Sir, what is that C1% in the last column, sir?
It is a cumulative percentage, like you keep adding, no, 86 plus 2, 88 and 88 plus 1200, that one. CF you would have studied in college. This one. Okay. Anything else? But you do not have to add that, just add a frequency percent, that is enough. Any doubts before we move on? So, now can somebody quickly tell me, I want to, let me select another continuous variable, you have to tell me how to do. Okay, we will take education. Education is in continuous form. Okay, you can see the education here. Can anybody quickly tell me how to convert education into categorical variable? What are the steps I need to follow quickly? One by one.
We need to click transform, recode into different variables.
Recode into different variables. Then there is already something here. So,
We need to reset.
yes. Now, I put
We need to select
education, okay, I put it inside.
and then we need to click old and new values.
Old and new values, okay. But before that we forgot to do one thing, madam. We forgot to,
We need to find minimum and maximum.
so how do we do that? Go to analyze,
Analyze,
yeah,
descriptive statistics,
yes,
frequencies.
yes, reset,
We need to reset this. Select education.
education, one second,
Means
mean,
minimum maximum.
we do not want standard deviation, mean, minimum, maximum is enough. You click OK. Now, quickly you can note it down. What is the value we have got here is, I have to scroll up it. Mean is 15.80, ma'am, minimum is 15, maximum is 17. Okay, mean is 15.80, minimum is 15, maximum is 17. So, we can categorize them into two categories, below 15 and above 15, because there are only two, very small number. So, how do we do it, ma'am? How do we go about? Transform, yeah,
Recode into different variables.
yes, reset, We are in education only, correct. Education, then
Old and new values.
old and new values,
We need to add range.
range
Below 15 and
0 to 15 is 1, add, then range value through highest,
to high
yes,
16 maybe.
16, that is all, that will be 2, add. So, we are telling 0 to 15 put them in one category, 16 and above in 2 category. Click on continue. One more thing, we have to select it, give the name. Yes, name will be education level, we put LVL, or level of education. In label we put level of education. Click on change, click on OK. Now, what we have to do, ma'am, we have to go down here, value labels 1. What is 1?
1 will be below 15.
Yeah, or we can say 0 to 15 years of education.
0 to 15.
Education, and then
2 will be above 15.
yeah,
16.
yeah, 16 years, 16 years or more than 16 years of education, anything, anyway you put it, okay, you put it as add. Now, we go to analyze. Now, descriptive statistics, frequencies, we reset whatever is there, quickly scroll down, level of education is there, I put it in, click on OK, go to the output file, I will see the output file over here. So, here you can see the percentage, majority of the respondents, that is 60% of the respondents have only 0 to 15 years of education. The remaining have 40, the remaining, that is 40% of the respondents have 16 years or more than 16 years of education. Is that clear? Any doubts? So, this is called transforming the data, converting the continuous variable into categorical or nominal variable. Okay. All right. What else? So, is this clear? Can we move on to chi-square? I think I am supposed to do chi-square. Let me see if I have time for it. Okay, I am not sure if we have, but we will try and see. So, the second thing I wanted to talk to you about with regard to this one is, once you have done percentage analysis, parametric versus non-parametric test. Before we get into statistical analysis, parametric tests are tests where we assume that the data is normally distributed. Have you ever seen a normal distribution? Like you would have seen a bell curve, no? I will just show you how it looks. Give me a second. Go to graphs, histogram. Let us take the example of age itself. I will put in this one here. I click display normal curve. This you do not need to do, I will show you later how to do. For now, I am just showing. So, actually how it should be is, it is not come normal, it should be normal. Okay. This, see here it is skewed, you can see this side is too big. It should be actually all the bars, the center should be more and the side should be less. So, this is known as so if it was like that, we would call it a normal curve. Okay. It is like a bell shaped curve. So, if the data is normally distributed, we can perform parametric tests. Okay. But if the data is not normally distributed, we cannot perform parametric tests, we will have to go for non-parametric test. Okay. So, these are the two major types of statistical tests you are going to be learning. One is parametric test, other is non-parametric test. Now, chi-square for example is a non-parametric test. That means, we do not have to worry whether the data is normally distributed or not. It can be normally distributed, but we are not bothered, because it does not bother with that. Same with the help of Pearson's correlation, it is a parametric test. Stepwise multiple regression is a parametric test. Independent sample test is a parametric test. Most of the reliable statistics are parametric tests. There are certain non-parametric tests, like as I told you, chi-square. There is another test called the Kruskal-Wallis test, okay, Mann-Whitney-U test. These are all tests that are not parametric, they are non-parametric tests. That means their effect is low, their ability to predict the result is low, it is not very good, it is not highly reliable. It is always better to go with parametric tests. So, that is about that, and that depends on what? whether your data is normally distributed or not. Now, here you do not see a normal distribution, somewhat normal, not too bad, but still you can see it is highly skewed. On one side you see so many big bars, other side. Let us try some other data. Let us see if we get a normality somewhere else. One second. Let us try some other variable. Age is not normally distributed. Okay. Let us go with income, monthly income of the family. We will try that. Click OK. Let me go to the output and check. This is also not normal. See, can you see how it is? It's not normal. A normal should be, the center should be big and it should be a proper bell curve. So, these are all non-normal data, and normality of data always it's better if you have lot of sample, because if you have more sample there is a higher chance of you getting normality of data. So, all of these things are, that is why I said always have good sample. This one is only 50 respondents. So, that is a problem. Now, you look at let us take something else. Let us take number of family members. Click OK. Somewhat normal, you can say, not compared to other two, you see this is somewhat better. So, this is how it is. This is normality of the data. Based on this only you decide whether you perform a parametric test or non-parametric test. There are also other things you need to consider while choosing the test. There is something called the type of variable. For example, if you have categorical variable, you will only have to do certain tests. If you have continuous variable, you can do certain other tests, things like that. So, now let us move on to chi-square quickly. That is the last topic for today. Also, anything else missing? I am just checking. Before performing chi-square, we need to understand statistical significance. Statistical significance. I think I will do it in the last. Before that, I will do chi-square. So, chi-square. What does chi-square do? So, chi-square tells us whether whether two variables are associated with one another. What does chi-square do? It tells it talks about the goodness of fit in statistical terms, but to understand it even more simpler terms, chi-square tells us whether two variables are associated with one another or not, whether they are statistically associated with one another or not. Okay. So, let us take the example of gender or sex here, and we have another variable called level of anxiety. I have categorized it into two, that level of anxiety. I will just show you. Level of anxiety has been categorized into two, below average and above average. Just like how I showed you the categorization, I have categorized into below average and above average. Now, I want to find out whether belonging to male or female has an impact on your level of anxiety. Whether there is in other words, whether there is an association between the gender of somebody or sex of somebody and their level of anxiety. Yeah. So, the gender of somebody and the level of anxiety, whether it is associated with one another, is what we want to find out. So, how do we do that? I will go to analyze. Again we go to descriptive statistics. In that we select cross tabs. In cross tabs we select sex and we put it in the column, and then at the bottom we have, what is that variable? Level of anxiety, we put it in the row column. What did we do? We put sex in this one and the level of anxiety in the row column. Then we select statistics. We make sure that chi-square is selected. Chi-square, CHI. Chi-square is pronounced as it's a CHI. Some people say chi-square. It is chi-square. C is silent. So, chi-square. We select this option called pi. I will tell you what pi is. PHI, pi. Then we click continue. Then under cells, there is this option called cells. There are so many things selected. We do not want all of this. We do not want total. We do not want row. We can even take total, but total also do not want. Count and column, they are both enough. Even total we will put. Okay. Count, column and total. These three we select for now. I will show you how it looks. Click continue and click OK. Now, we go to the output, scroll down. So, here you see so much information. No? it is very difficult to understand. Therefore, what we need to do is we need to change certain things in the data analysis. We go to descriptive statistics, cross tabs. Here under statistics we make sure these two are selected, okay. Under format or under cells rather, we do not want total, we only want column. Also we have selected some other variable, I think. Let me just show you. Age group, level of anxiety, yeah, this is the variable. We select this, then we click on OK. Let me just check if it is the right variable. Yeah, no, this is not the right variable. One second. I think I have selected some other variable. Anxiety, last one, this one. There are two levels of anxiety actually. I have done some tests there. Yes, so we got the result. So this is the high square. Can you see this? Is it very small? I am not sure if you are able to see. Can anybody tell me? Can you see this table?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So here you have two. So the two variables are here. Can you see? One is the level of anxiety, other one is the sex or gender, and then you have two options here: below average, above average, male, female. Now it's again a bit confusing when you look at it. So what we need to do is we need to look at only one side. We need to look at, ignore this below average, this whole column, below average, male, female, this whole column you forget it. Only look at the bottom. Only look at the bottom. So here at the bottom you can see above average, who has more, which percentage, both male and female have equal in terms of above average level of depression, anxiety, isn't it? So almost equal. What does it mean? That means that your gender does not play a very important role in determining whether you are anxious or not. That is also proven by the statistics. Here there is something called significance. Okay, I will tell you about significance at the end if we have time, or we will cover it tomorrow. So significance should be much lower. It is very high right now, it is 1.000. It should be less than 0.10. But here what do we get? 1.000. That means the result, there is no statistical significance. In other words, we cannot say that gender plays a role in determining your anxiety. You can see in above average 50% are male, 50% are female. Okay, so therefore gender does not play an important role in determining. It does not matter whether you are a male, it does not matter whether you are female, it does not affect your anxiety. Okay. Now we take another variable and check. We will check type of family. Same thing. So I am just repeating: descriptive statistics, cross tabs. Instead of sex, I am going to put type of family, and then I click OK. Now can you see? Now forget the below average point. Can somebody look at the above average and tell me who has more anxiety? Above average, percentage wise, look at the percentage, do not look at the number. Who has more anxiety according to the above average level of anxiety? Ignore the below average, this whole line you forget, just look at the bottom.
Joint family.
Yeah, those who are living in joint family, because 100% of the respondents in the joint family have above average level of anxiety, compared to the nuclear family only 43%. So and look at the significance value. What have we got? 0. There is a 0 before the point. Okay. So 0.012, that is almost 1.2% error. Significance, this significance level tells you the level of error in the result being an outcome of random chance. Okay. Statistics is all about balancing this error and getting the right result. So here you see that significance value or the p value is 0.012. Okay. So when you multiply this 0.012, can anybody tell me what you get? What do you get when you multiply 0.012 into 100? What do you get? What is the number you get? 0.012. Can you multiply that with 100 and tell me what you get? Anybody? I will do it here also. If you are, I'll just open the calculator and you will get to know. Okay, what is the value? 0.012, multiply that with 100, what are we getting? 1.2. So, there is a 1.2% of error, as I told you. Okay. The rest is a, so it is a very good result. There is only 1.2% of error. Okay. Are you following me? So, this is statistically significant. This means that the type of family you belong to definitely plays a role in determining a level of anxiety. In this case, it is joint family. So, what does the study show? According to this results of this study, belonging to the joint family, there is a higher possibility of you developing anxiety. It is above average level of anxiety. So, the type of family plays an important role is what the results show. So, that I have interpreted in the table. I will show you the table here. So, type of family and level of anxiety, I put all the important variables. You can see the same thing is here, and I have given the chi-square value. Where is the chi-square value? It is here in the next table. I will show you. At the bottom, you can see this Pearson chi-square. The value is here. Can you see? And then the significance is also here. So, what have we found here? We found that from the results seen in table 1, it can be said that among those who have an above average level of anxiety, a greater percent, almost 100% of the respondents are those who live in joint families. Just look at this one, ignore the top part, just look at this one. I am repeating, from the results seen in table 1, it can be said that among those who have an above average level of anxiety, a greater percentage, almost 100% of the respondents are those who live in joint families. Okay, you just compare the 100 versus 43. So, almost there is a great change. So, 100% of them are living in joint families. Furthermore, the results have turned out to be statistically significant at a moderate level. P is less than 0.05. This is what I was talking about, this value. This is less than 0.05. Therefore, the results are statistically significant at a moderate level. I will talk about the statistical significance tomorrow. I think there is less time, so I will just limit myself to here. The pi value indicates the fact that the association between the two variables is strong. Now, there is something else we selected called the pi value. Remember PHI, pi value, I will show you in the table, it is there. This pi value is 0.37. Now, that 0.37 is what we put here. There is another table for interpreting the pi value. Anything that is above 0.25, any pi value that is above 0.25, we say that there is a strong association between the two variables. So, the pi value indicates the fact that the association between the two variables, what are the two variables? Type of family and level of anxiety is strong. There is a strong connection between the two variables. Okay. So, that is about chi-square. Chi-square tells us, as I told you, association between two variables, whether they are connected with one another and how strongly they are connected. So, what is the conclusion that we draw here? We draw that the level of anxiety is definitely, the type of family definitely impacts the level of anxiety, and those who are living in joint families are more likely to have an above average level of anxiety. Okay. That is what we have learned from here, and the pi value also shows that there is a strong association between the two variables. Ma'am, do I have any time? Can I quickly highlight the significance values? How much time do I have, or should we close at 5 sharply?
No, sir, it will take some more time.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So, that is about chi-square. So, now one thing I had to talk to you about before chi-square was understanding significance. Now, this is significance. I will just show you in a full screen. So, when you talk about significance, what is significance? It tells us whether our result is has come out because of a random error or a random chance, or is it an accurate result. If p is less than, what is p? This I am thinking, this is p is the probability value, the p value. The p value is this one. You see the significance, no, 0.012, that one. Okay, that one. If that is less than 0.001, which means that there is 0.1% error or 99% accuracy. In that case, we say that the result is statistically significant at a very high level. Okay. So, if you take the calculator, I will show you how I am calculating this. Where is the calculator? I will just calculator. So, here you have this 0.001, multiply that with 100 for getting the percent, you get 0.1% error. 0.1% error means 99.9% accuracy. It is very accurate, the result. That is why in that case we say that the result is statistically significant at a very high level. In other words, we can really trust this result. We do not have to believe that it is a result out of chance or error. Okay, this is a very good result. We can trust the result. We can form generalizations with the help of the result. Then we look at the second one, 0.01. 0.01, you multiply that with 100, what do you get? 1. So, there is 1% chance of error. Earlier it was only 0.1% error, now 1% chance of error, but still it is 99% accurate. That is why we say it is statistically significant at a high level. The third level is 0.05. 0.05, you multiply that with 100, how much you get? 5. So, there is 5% chance of error or 95% chance of accuracy. What is 100 minus 5? 95. So, 95% accuracy, meaning the result is statistically significant at a moderate level. Now, look at our result. We got 0.012, isn't it? We got 0.012. So, what does that mean? 0.012, you multiply it, you will get to know 0.012 into 100. Yes, you multiply that, you have 1.2. So, 1.2 is less than 5%, no? That is why we say the result P is less than 0.05. See, I have mentioned it in the table also. P is less than 0.05. P is this only. I will write it like this, you will understand. 1.12, this only. It is less than 0. So, P is less than 0.05. Therefore, what do we say? The result is statistically significant at a moderate level. In that sense, we can say we can trust this result. It is not untrustworthy, it is not the best result, but it is somewhat trustable. I can trust it result. I can make some generalizations with the help of the result. So, that is the third level. Usually, most statisticians will stop at this level. They will say if it is more than 5% error, then we should not trust the result. But in social science, we go one step further because we are dealing with human beings, and human beings make a lot of, they are always changing their ideas, thoughts. So, we go up to 10% chance of error. So, what do you mean by 10% chance of error? I will just open that and I will show 0.10 into 100. What do you get? 10%. So, there is 10% chance of error or 90% accuracy. Okay? That means we say the result is statistically significant at a marginal level. It is very poor, weak significance, but it is significant. Okay? So, here what have we got? We got a p value that is 0.012, which is less than 0.05. So, it is moderate. That is why I said furthermore, the results have turned out to be statistically significant at a moderate level. P is less than. So, somewhat we can trust. Okay? So, that is significance. Now, please remember this significance because it is very important. All our statistics from ANOVA, t-test, correlation, all are based on these significance values. So, if you have a phone or something, please take a screenshot of this or keep it saved or whatever, because all of this rest of the interpretation for the rest of the sessions tomorrow, we are going to rely on this. Okay. So, with that I think I will conclude, ma'am. I have covered all the topics for today. Tomorrow we will be covering Pearson's correlation, regression, ANOVA, and I will be finally giving you a small talk on which test should you perform. As those who are confused, they may be wondering what test should I perform, sir, so many tests are there, which one should I perform? I will tell you that. So, with that I would like to conclude, ma'am. So, thank you.